these reality swap moments where I was suddenly in a different timeline and in a different body. I ended up saving a scientist that turned himself into a fairy, and once I got out of there, I turned back into my regular self, but I unlocked Red's outfit, which I can now change into at my room. Not that we'll be doing that because that would break kind of the immersion of the game. Still pretty cool that you have the option though. We then go to the daycare where they do unspeakable things to Vaporeon and learn that the daycare old lady and old man were actually young ones. And it's details like this that I'm absolutely loving about this game, as it highlights the changes that people go through throughout the years. I then got a call from Giovanni telling me to go to the power plant, and on my way there, I captured two Pokemon, a Sandile and an Electabuzz. Once we then arrive at the plant itself, we see that Giovanni and Pierce are already here, disguised as workers. You see, they want to make up for our loss at Viridian City, and I'm trying to get some powerful Pokemon from the power plant. So I disguise myself as well and head in with them. We managed to get through a good part of the power plant until a police guard showed up and told us that he didn't recognize us as workers and knows that we're here to try and steal something. That triggers the alarm and puts everybody on edge, forcing us to fight our way to the end of the plant. But right before we can reach the end, I get stopped by the gym leader Voltang, who also works here and is ready to defend his territory. His team was pretty darn easy to beat, as Machamp managed to get through everything except for his legendary Pokemon Raikou. All we had to do for him was send out my Flygon and click Earthquake. Once he's defeated, he mentions that reinforcements are on their way, so we better get out of here quickly, otherwise we're going to get captured. We then pivot back to the room where we were being interrogated, and the police officer says that Raikou was not Voltaic's Pokemon. He was just holding in company and basically being a good friend, being under his authority at the time. Voltaic's command over Raikou, however, was pivotal in the Great Pokemon War, and so we learned that Voltaic was actually a war hero. And when he died, Lieutenant Surge took the opportunity to step up, and Raikou never returned to Surge, as it now lives somewhere deep in the wilds. We then get to continue our story, and we see that Giovanni is interested in an Electabuzz in the back who's powering all these machines. Once he's stolen it, he orders us to overpower the generators that will trigger the alarm to go off and give us an opportunity to escape. So we do what he asks, but when we come back from our generator, Pierce starts accusing us of tripping the alarm on purpose and being the rat that sold them out in the first mission. Giovanni tries to defuse the situation by trying to calm him down, but it's of no use as he's only focused on getting me taken out of the team. So in that moment, when all the stakes are so high, the police is on our ass, he decides to battle me. He only has three Pokemon, a Dark Mightyena, Scyther, and Kabutops. All we need is Revenges from Machamp and Flingrill from Rapidash to take him down, which was incredibly easy, but during our fight, one of Pierce's Pokemon hit one of the Electrodes, who has now gone mad and is ready to explode. So we flee the scene together and start laying low for a while. When we were laying low, Giovanni was talking to me about how his Electabuzz evolved from the Power Surge at the power plant, and that we should be focusing on the Pokemon League Challenge for now, and the Rocket Gang should be left behind for a little bit. Once we're done with the Gym Challenge, we can expand to Johto and start doing the Gym Challenge and missions there. Oh, and Pierce, he's been reprimanded by his mother for some time for stepping out of line. So for now, it seems like we're in the clear. After explaining all of this to the police officer, he says that after that explosion at the power plant, there was a worldwide search for the culprits, but they had no idea who did it because Giovanni's name was unknown until very recently. This was also the last time they heard of Pierce before he made his Team Rocket return many years later. We then decide to pick up the dark candy that Giovanni left behind for us and evolve our dark Electivire. With him by my side, I headed into the final gym battle at Viridian City. It's a standard towel spinning gym, and at the end you get to face the man that ruined everything for us, Giga. Only this time his Pokemon level advantage is no longer here, as Dark Lapras takes down his Swampert by spamming Ice Beam. We also one-shot Rhydon, Camerupt, and Flygon with Grinds and Ice Beams until Mamoswine comes in. This thing gets a couple of stat buffs and is able to take down Dark Lapras. But all we had to do to win here was send out Dark Machamp and use a single revenge, giving us our 8th and final gym badge before we can challenge the lead. And honestly, I'm just lucky this old man didn't recognize me from the first time. Otherwise, we probably never would have had a chance to challenge him. On our way to Victory Road, we get another reality swap, and this time you have to fight as Red against Blue. Once you defeat him, you end up getting the Blue character outfit. Once that was done, we did our quick trip through Victory Road and reached the Pokemon League building, where we run into Giovanni. He said that he was not going to let me beat him to the Pokemon League, and that right now is the time to find out who's the most powerful trainer. And this fight started off pretty one-sided as we stringed this Kangaskhan with Machamp. We then Earthquake and Magmortar, Nidoqueen, Electivire, and Nidoking before Flygon gets taken out by Persian. I then used a string of Electivire, Rapidash, and Honchkrow to eventually overpower it, but this ended up being one of the closest battles we've had yet. After losing, Giovanni realizes that he's not ready for the Pokemon League yet and is just going to head straight for Johto. And that once we're done here, we should join him. He gives me one more dark candy to help me out in my battles, and then it's time for us to start. Our first opponent is going to be a young lady named Agatha. That's right, the old hag has been in love with ghost-type Pokemon for her entire life, and is here as a young lady. In her dialogues, he speaks of how horrible of a man Professor Oak is for leaving her behind, and that all of that anger is now going to be redirected to me in our battle. And of course, this battle was in our favor, as Honchkrow started eating up the first two Pokemon Mist Troops encounter like it was nothing. Nidoking then proceeded to blast Arbok and Muk out of here, and after doing some decent damage on Gengar, Dark Rapidash would finish it off with a flame charge. After the battle, I made my Nidoking evil and fought the next member, the famous Pokeball maker, Kurt. That's right, before retiring at his old ship and doing adventures of silver, blood, and gold, he was an Elite Four member here in Kanto. If we go up to his Pokemon team, we see that he specializes in steel types, leading off with a Fortress that gets scorched by Rapidash. Lapras then takes out Lairon and Magneton before we burn up the Scizor, electrocute his Darmon, and wash away his final Pokemon Steelix, which lets us move on to the next room, where we find somebody that is not known in the current Kanto. She specializes in psychic fairy types, so Honchkrow and Nidoking yet again had a field day using Sludge Wave and because this entire James and Jesse scientifically always do the anime about how they're blasted off by speed of light and save the world from devastation while uniting all people living. With that, the Rocket Gang is now officially international, and our first order of business is going to be bringing Sparky back. He's being held in the Golden Lost City Police Department, but if you want to blast him out, he needs a Pokemon that pack a punch. So we're going to rendezvous at the lake and race together to see what we can find there. So everybody moves out, but I stay behind to pick up the spray gun here. This is going to allow us to get a very pesky Sudowoodo. I eventually get my Typhlosion and evolve into Dark Typhlosion, but this powerhouse on my team, we challenge Charmel and Equity City, and her ghost types fell rather quickly, which lets us gain the point. Pokemon Run and Bun is the hardest rock hack of all time. It can be designed to test you at every corner and punish you for even the smallest of mistakes. My first hardcore Nuzlocke of the game ended in heartbreak, but into Gordon after dozens of hours of hard work. It was just not meant to be. But I got all the way to the Fortunator on my very first attempt with less than stellar Pokemon by my side. It shouldn't be too long before I'm right back in the pilgrimage. But then
Rocktulian, Rocktulian.
I found myself in a dark place, questioning whether this challenge is even worth it. But just as I'm hitting rock bottom, a couple of unexpected heroes give me hope. What follows is one of my craziest runs ever. One of revenge, joy, heartbreak, and some of the most dominant Nuzlocking of my life. This is not just a run. This is my redemption. I'm shaking up the starter choice. Turtwig was great in attempt 1, and Pangea certainly had its fair share of clutch moments, but my mindset has shifted. All three starters are great, and I originally took the one who I thought offered the most value in escaping the early game. But now with more experience under my belt, I'm thinking much further. Enter Shimsha. Infernape isn't just good, it's a force of nature in the mid to late game, especially after the order. Fast, powerful, and packing an absurd move pool with great stat options like Overheat, Flare Blitz, and Close Combat. Not to mention Fake Out, which is huge in a game full of dull battles, Pokemon with the sturdy ability, and Pokemon holding focus
Davvero,
sections.
sono
In other
minuti
words, if I
cambiano,
get
no.
past Golden, I will unlock unlimited because my Chimchar has a naive nature, boosting its all-round traits. But that's far from my last naive Pokemon, because my Natsu on Route 103 has the same nature. This is an immediate game changer. Natsu synchronized